3 times. 4 times. Doing gang things, living super clean. That done came up. Can't control us. 1 time for the men doing cane things. Dead fresh to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that done came up. 4 times cause the man can't control us. 1 time for the men doing cane things. Dead fresh to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that done came up. 4 times cause the man can't control us. Look at you, you done came up now. Get it how you live, mess the game up now. Ain't messing with yoga, but get the flame up. Hey, used to be Toby, but got your name back now. I see ya, paid under pressure. 25 lighters, got them all on the dresser. If it ain't for you, ain't for you then. If you a lame or a sucker, wanna dress you then. Grown up now, bump the childish ways. Got a wife and a bunch of kids to raise. Punch a clock side, hustle or a business you endure to ensure that all the bills is paid. Slow clap for your homeboy, could've turned out like your homeboy. Being on the same block, cooking up the same rock on the cell block lot with your homeboy. But no, you had vision, you had gold. Brand new you on the old time road, take care. Home where you bust your low. Black men don't teach, screaming Bondi ho. Real men talk, real king ways. Still in captivity, but minds ain't slave. Got a little wisdom, boy, you PD grade. Giving out the knowledge on the stoop these days. 1 time for the men doing cane things. Dead fresh to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that done came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. 1 time for the men doing cane things. Dead fresh to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that done came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. 1 time for the folk that have moved up. Even if you had the slow start screwed up. Used to gang bang, now homie brewed up. Had a little plan, I had them blew up. Look at you like a man right now. Dressed to the T, smelling like a grand right now. And you ain't got nothing from a handout now. Just faith and hard work, gets it planned out now. You could've took a bunch of dusty rolls. The hand dealt with a bunch of cards to fold. To stay hot while the world is freezing cold. The same plot, but the story's never old. Slow clap for your kinfolk. Could've been asking what your info. Prosecutor could be trying to do you in for the 2020 twins, so you passing out the info. But no, you had purpose, you had plans. I ain't throwing nothing, I'ma say these bands won't impress y'all, don't need no fans. That ain't my God, who is that man? This real man talk, real king ways. Still in captivity, but minds ain't slave. Got a little wisdom, boy, you peep these grades. Giving out the knowledge on the stoop these days. 1 time for the men doing cane things. Dead fresh to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that done came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. 1 time for the men doing cane things. Dead fresh to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. Yeah, real man. Sheesh. Yeah. Doing cane things. Living super clean. That came up.
1 time for my king doing king things. Mom these hoes cause he know he got a good thing. I submit and I cook and I clean and I never hold back on that wop, I'ma let it rain. Made me honest, I got a ring. All praises to the most high, let it sing. A real man able, sister never Cain. And I ain't going nowhere, this is not a game. Look at you, girl, you lonely right now. Settling for bums instead of men the most high. He provide and protect so he get our respect. And he leading us aboard when them chariots fly. I don't really think you hear me though. You can't cross this bridge on some billy goats. Let them save you in the end like a Seminole. Be help me, shout to let the silly go.
1 time for the men doing cane things. Dead fresh to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up.
Shalom and shalom, sisters and cousins, and praise the Lord, saints. It's your favorite housewife, Miss Mono. There we go. Good evening, good night to you all, to everybody, wherever you're watching from, Facebook, TikTok. I don't know if I'm on Instagram or not, but thank y'all so much for being here with me this evening. Like I tell you every week, you could be anywhere on the worldwide internet, but you are here with me, and I appreciate that. So give yourselves a hand. Thank you for the follow. Today, we're going to be talking about homeschooling idea versus reality. I live in the state of Georgia, so anything like legally will be specifically related to my state, but there are other resources to help you in your area. Thank you for the follow. So, but before we get into that, I have to talk about something that I read on on the news today after I introduced myself, right? Because you could be new, you could be watching on the replay, you could be new, and you could be like, who is this woman? I go by Miss Mono's world in these content creator streets, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the places the content creators be. Feel free to follow me. Also, if you are not on the YouTube, please head over to the YouTube at Monologue Magat, MONOLOG MAGAD. That lovely face belongs to my husband, the love of my life. So make sure you like, share, subscribe to the YouTube. Any other announcements? No, I just need to fix your screen. Okay, un momento. No, keep talking. Oh, okay. No, un momento. All right, so we got a lot of stuff to go over today. So I'm trying to decide, like, do I want to go serious with y'all first? Or no, I'll save that story for the end. Angelina, shalom and shalom, sis. Thank you for joining me. Kind of weird news today, right? So the founder of La Leche League, if you don't know what La Leche League is, it is a group of mothers who give breastfeeding support to other mothers. It started back in, I want to say like the 50s or something. And yeah, so this league has been going on since then. Well, the founder of the league resigned today. I believe the article says she's 94 years old. The founder of the league resigned today because now they are allowing men to participate. Yes, you heard me right. They're allowing men to participate in a breastfeeding organization because now, due to scientific advances, if that's what you want to call it, men are able to produce something. I'm not sure what they are producing. But whatever it is they are producing, they are giving to these babies. And also they are now being allowed to donate the excretion to milk banks. And I don't know if you guys know about milk banks, but these are this is a place that mothers can go who desire to give their children breast milk, but for whatever reason cannot breastfeed. Okay, so you don't have the infrastructure to deliver the product. So even with whatever they're injecting, I'm wondering, where is it? What is it and where is it coming from? You don't have the mammary glands. You don't have the tubercles. You don't have the equipment to lactate and then to feed a baby. So the founder of the La Leche League is like, yeah, I'm not doing this. She's like, now if y'all want to backtrack and bring this back to biological women only, I'll be back. But as of right now, she has resigned, and good for her. Good for her. Well, I'm not taking that. All right. So okay, let's get into the homeschooling thing because this can take a while. I did have something else I wanted to talk about, but we'll add that on in it at the end. So I did want to talk about the homeschooling thing. So I'm going to be honest when we talk. Y'all, I believe in transparency. I believe in being honest. I think that's the only way we can help ourselves or help others. So I'm going to be totally transparent when I talk. You may not feel the way I feel, and that's okay. I'm just here to give you some information. So, a few, like when I'm going to tell you why I feel the way I do about schooling. Okay, so I completed a 2-year program to become a surgical tech. I completed the program. I took my national certifications. Like, I did everything I was supposed to do. When I came back a few years later to re-up my certification, there was all this mess with the school I attended, and their accreditation was lost and everything like that. So ever since that has happened to me, I've been a stickler about accreditation. Yeah, it is wild. It is really wild. It's beyond me. So I've been a stickler about like accreditation and things like that. Okay. So when we started our homeschooling journey. That was important to me. I wanted my children to be able to continue their education wherever they went. If they decided they wanted to go to college, tech school, pick up a trade, or if they decided, no, I'm just going to run my family businesses, okay, fine. We want them to have the options. I'm gonna be honest with you, especially as a Black mother. I'm homeschooling my 2 Black sons. And all we ever hear about is how, the reading levels dictate the prison population, and they start the school to prison pipeline so early, especially for Black boys, and just all of that is just one bulk of the reason that I choose to homeschool. Okay. Not to mention the safety issues. Okay. And then it's the indoctrination. Okay. So I don't have a problem with the stuff that they need to learn. The reading, the writing, the arithmetic. 1 + 1 is 2, 2 + 2 is 4. CAT spells cat. Yeah, okay, I'm cool with the basic stuff. But what I had to realize is that there's a lot of indoctrination even in the basic stuff, right? Like they will use someone like George Washington as an example of hard work and the kind of morals and characters that we should have as Americans. But I have to sit down and explain to my child that George Washington was a slave owner who used his slaves' teeth for his own. I have to explain to my child that George Washington helped to terrorize and put a significant dent in the population of the Native American community that was here before the Europeans arrived. Like, so how do you want me to turn around and then tell my child that this is someone that they should admire and follow? I'm not doing that. So, another aspect of that is the amount of disease that is going around. And I know people are, oh, well, kids have always been getting sick and blah, 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 blah. Yes, kids have always been getting sick. However, kids have not always been dying like this from getting sick. Okay. My 9-year-old was supposed to start kindergarten during COVID. And I was able to it's called redshirting in Georgia, where you can decide to not start them until they turn 6. So we did that because it was the height of COVID. And then they had started shutting stuff down anyway. And when things opened back up, it was just like, I don't know. They were going through all that stuff with the jab, and they were talking about forcing people to take it and everything else. So me and my husband were like, So here's the thing about homeschooling in Georgia, okay? When you want to homeschool in Georgia, you just have to go to your county's Board of Education and put in what's called a declaration of intent to homeschool. You're basically just going to fill out a piece of paper that says, I intend to homeschool my child. This is my child's name. This is my name. This is where we live. That's it. There's no regulation. No one is coming to check on you. You don't have to report for testing or anything like that, okay? And so on the one hand, that's great, right? And that's one thing I love about living in Georgia is some of the liberties that we have. I know y'all don't like that it's a red state, but some of the liberties that we have with it being a red state, I really appreciate that. So, yeah, so that's it. The government is pretty much out of your business once you decide that you want to homeschool. Now, once you've decided that you want to homeschool, there are a number of options on how you complete that. What I don't agree with right now is the whole unschooling or learning in life situation. There are people out there who will say that they're homeschooling their child, but their whole ideology is to let the child figure it out on their own. Like, oh, they'll teach themselves how to read when they're ready. They'll teach themselves math when they're ready. I mean, I don't want to say that that's piss poor parenting, but I kind of feel like that's piss poor parenting. Are you not going to help your child at all? You just going to leave them out here to figure it out themselves? How do they know that they need to learn how to read if they're never told they're learn how to read? Among other things, which is why unschooling, let's not do that, okay? So the various methods of homeschool. And now, before I get into this, let me say this, okay? If you're considering homeschooling or you are homeschooling, like, you have to know yourself. You have to know how you are, how you work, your attention span. You just have to know yourself because there's a lot to deal with homeschooling. Now, you can choose to purchase a curriculum. And they have so many different curriculums. You can find some Bible-based curriculums. You're going to have secular curriculums. You're going to have different curriculums that will cater to your different beliefs. Okay, that is an option you can take. There are programs like we use IXL, and I love, love, love IXL. IXL will actually give you Shamika Simons. Shalom and shalom, sis. Thank you for joining me. Like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Thanks to everybody hanging out on the TikTok. I forgot where I was. Okay, so you have to know yourself and how you work, right? I have realized about myself in the beginning of our homeschool journey that first of all, I'm a procrastinator, and like I've always known that about myself. Like, if there's a last minute to push the thing to, I'm going to push it to the last minute. Oh, I am. And I had to come to realize that I run off routine. Like, all my life, I've had a routine from childhood. Get up, go to school, come home, do this, do that. When it was time for me to start working, get up, go to school, go to work, come home. So it's always been someone telling me where to be at a certain time. So now that, and this is when we first started homeschooling, now that I didn't have that, it was hard for me. Because I would be like, oh, I could do it tomorrow. Oh, this can wait. Oh, this. Oh, I got to do this or I got to do that. I will always find something else that, while it was important, it's not as important as my child's education. And so I had to recognize that about myself, right? And I had to pray about it. Like, okay, what am I going to do? So thankfully, there are modifications that you can make to homeschooling, because some homeschoolers will tell you, oh, if you're not using a independent curriculum from the public school system, then you're not really homeschooling. You know, if you're not doing it this way, you're not really homeschooling. And I'm here to say that as long as you are educating your child at home, you are homeschooling. Okay. I know of 2 systems here in Georgia that will connect you to the public education system. And now let me tell you, I think this was the best route for my concerns, for my family, because again, I want my sons to have every door and every option open to them. And you know, some homeschoolers would say, oh, just let them get a GED and then they can go from there. As a Black mother, and I'm going to keep saying a Black mother because that's what I am. That's what affects me. Okay. So as a Black mother, I can't see sending my Black sons out here with any disadvantage. And you know, if you got your GED, good on you. That's just not the choice I would make for my children. And again, they may grow up and be like, Ma, I think this GED will be fine for what I want to do. But as for me right now, while I have say so in their direction, I want to make sure, because their sisters are graduating from college. I have 1 college graduate and 2 in college. So this is what they're seeing. So they're considering this. They're like, yeah, I want to go to college like my sisters. And I want them to be able to. So what we tried, one schooling option called Georgia Cyber Academy. And Georgia Cyber Academy, it was good for us. Okay. My only issue with Georgia Cyber Academy was that it did not fit with our lifestyle, and that we're business owners. And so sometimes most days I can't sit at a computer from 8 to 4:30 with my kid. And with Georgia Cyber Academy, attendance for their live classes is mandatory. Okay, you have to be there at every class or it counts against you. So we tried that for a while and it didn't work for us. Now, the schooling that we use now is called Georgia Connections Academy. Okay. I love this program so much better, right? So the live classes are not mandatory, but they are so very helpful. So I do have my kids attend them. I don't make them attend every one, and sometimes we just can't. But they're not mandatory. And this is really a blessing on our Sabbath. Because we're lunar Sabbath keepers. Okay. So our Sabbath will switch with every new moon. But because the lessons aren't mandatory at Georgia Connections, when it's our Shabbat, we just take the day off. And I just make sure that we make up the work the next time. So that's really a blessing for me with this program. So it's an independent based program, right? So they fill up the schedule. They tell you what your schedule is, and it's up to you how fast you work, how slow you work. Now they do have some mandatory things, like they do have the testing, of course, that everyone has to do, and there may be some classes that are mandatory, but for the most part, the majority of the program is independent learning. Okay. And so I much prefer this independent learning. And that's another thing that's different from Georgia Cyber Academy. Georgia Cyber is very much the teacher teaching, and you have to be there to hear what the teacher says. With Georgia Connections Academy, we get the material. And now, yes, my child will attend a live lesson, but after the live lesson, I have all the material in front of me. I'm reteaching this material the right way. Yes, I'm reteaching this material in the truth. Okay. So when my child asks questions, I can tell my child the truth. Like we're talking about colonization and European exploration right now in social studies with my oldest. And we sit down and we talk about the truth. I'm not just gonna, feed him some whitewashed version of history so we can get through it. No, I'm gonna tell you the truth. This is what happened. Okay. And so when I talk to him like that, I tell him, listen, this is the truth, but this is what they want you to say. So you say this for school. Thank you guys for joining the live. You say this for school, but we know the truth. Okay. And that's another thing. Like that's the main reason for us homeschooling. I did not want to have to debrief my child from their entire education when they were at home with me, okay? So for instance, we don't celebrate the holidays like everyone else. Like we don't celebrate Christmas, we don't celebrate Halloween. My kids know this. So like the teachers call every month to check on you, right? And the teachers will ask, do you celebrate this? Do you celebrate that? And if you say no, then that's it. You don't hear anything else about it. There's nothing that you have to do. There's not going to be any requirement that requires you to participate in this holiday. That's it. We don't celebrate it. And we don't have to. And therefore, it's not mixed up in what I'm teaching my child. I don't have to teach my child to comply with your celebrating of Thanksgiving in order to teach them how to count. I don't have to teach my child to comply with Thanksgiving in order to teach them their history. And this is, to me, that's the value of homeschooling. Because again, our kids are not just going to get reading, writing, and arithmetic. They are being indoctrinated in these schools. I read an article today about a middle school class that is full of trans and non-binary children. A middle school class? And you're going to tell me that that's an accident? When I remember growing up, you didn't see that. That was not. We had one boy that had long hair and he danced on the pep squad with the girls. That's it. It wasn't like it is now. Okay? You have kids that go to school and live a double life and nobody's required to inform the parents. Nobody's required to tell the parents, Hey, like you're, and as a matter of fact, they can't tell the parents, right? They can't tell the parents. And that's crazy to me. I'm not sending my child to school for you to teach them how to lie to me and how to live a double life. That's what gets me. You're not going to indoctrinate my child against the Bible, and then when they come home, I'm trying to teach them the Bible. And so the place that they spend the majority of their time, because let's be real, when our kids go to school, that's where they spend the majority of their time. When they spend the place that they spend the majority of their time is teaching them against what we teach at home. Why am I going to subject my child to that if I don't have to? Okay, and I understand some of us have to work. I get it. But I was having a conversation earlier this week. Some of us can make some sacrifices to be able to homeschool. Okay? Like a program like Georgia Connections Academy, you can work during the day, you can do schoolwork at night if you have to. Or if your child is old enough to work independently, they can be working during the day while you're at work, and then you come home at night like you normally would anyway and help them with their homework, right? Hey, some of you two-parent households, ma'am, sis, cousin, do you need the job? Are you the breadwinner? Is it making sense for you to work? Because me and my husband were just talking about this the other day, because I get in these phases where I'm like, I miss, adult interaction. I miss work. I just miss having a life outside of home. And I can admit that I go through that sometimes. I miss having a life outside of home. I miss going to lunch with my coworkers and you know what I'm saying? Just all the stuff you do. And so we just looked at the finances of it all. It would cost us more money for me to go to work. Because now, we've got clothes. Now we've got car, and we have a car, but now we're going to have way more maintenance than we usually would because nothing's close in Atlanta. Okay. And then, I'm going to want to go out to like you incur so many more expenses, for having one person working for having two people working in the house when it may be more advantageous to just have one person working and you guys just cut down on some of the things that maybe you don't need. Like we only have one car. We have one family car and then we have our truck for our businesses. I'm okay with that. Like we don't need another car for what? For it to just sit in the driveway anyway? And then again, if I was working, then that would just be another bill to eat away at any money that I was bringing in. You know what I'm saying? It does not make any sense at all. Where's my thing? Let me get your comment. In the USA, the educational system is ranked very low. Very low. We're like among the lowest, but we spend the most money. And here's another thing about the United States. Every state has a board of education. I know in Douglas County, there's the Douglas County Board of Education, and then there's the state. So having a federal board of education is, in my opinion, wasteful. And I'm going to say it's wasteful because education should be local issues decided by the parents and the educators in that community. It should not come down from some figureheads who are out of touch with what's going on in real life. Some billionaire is miles away from you does not know the real life job skills that you need to succeed where you are. So even with think about it, you got a county board, a state board, and then you got a national board, 3 supposed boards of education, and we're still ranked the lowest in the world. How is that making any sense? It's not adding up to me. What are my tax dollars going to a national board of education for if we're still the lowest in the world and not getting any better? So that's another thing I will say about homeschooling. Like it gives you that opportunity to give your child that extra. It gives you the opportunity to focus on your child. Like yes, we do the mandatory subjects, but what else are they interested in? What else do they like? And so here's another thing about homeschooling. It can get pricey. It can get pricey because you're paying for everything yourself. There's no subsidized field trips. Now I will say if you sign up for Georgia Connections Academy or Georgia Cyber Academy, they send you books. Matter of fact, Georgia Cyber Academy will send you a laptop, a printer, like they'll send you everything. But again, their live lessons are mandatory. So if you have the ability to sit with your child and let them do that, then it's a great fit. It just wasn't a fit for us because, we own businesses and our schedule is not we don't have a set schedule around here. Okay. So that one didn't work for us. But with Georgia Connections Academy, they sent us books. They sent science experiment thing, like they will send you the supplies that you need to do the schoolwork. And not to mention, a lot of stuff is online these days. A lot of the stuff, like with the kids' schoolwork, we don't really use the books unless it's like a writing exercise, or sometimes I pull out books because I don't want my kids to forget how to use books. Like, I don't want them to get so used to doing everything online that they forget how to use books. Like, we pull out a dictionary sometime, we pull out a thesaurus. When we were learning about text features, I pulled out a book and just showed them a regular book. You know what I'm saying? So that I love that about it, that I get to decide what they need to learn and what they get to learn. Yes, I've read this quote. I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. And that's the other thing that we have to understand. The origins of our education system was never for us to prosper and to rise above those who were employing us at the time. And here's the thing, like, we're so messed up that everything is connected to everything. And when you think about the only reason that the education system came to be is because now I don't know if you know about Rockefeller and Standard Oil and Carnegie and all they called them the titans of business at that time. They're also known collectively as the robber barons. Okay, so these quote unquote robber barons needed more employees because guess what? The employees that they did have were complaining. This is when you see a lot of labor strikes. This is when they came up with the 8 hours for work, 8 hours for sleep, and 8 hours for whatever, 5 days on. This is when they came up with all of that stuff. So the origin of education was never to raise enlightened, brilliant creatives who were going to change the world. No, it was to educate you enough so that you could come and work this factory. You could come and get on this assembly line, okay, and make money for this other person, not for yourself, right? And so even with that, we push entrepreneurship to our children. I'm not saying everybody has to do this. I'm just saying we push entrepreneurship to get them out of that framework. Now, I also have them participating in career readiness activities because, like I said, I want my children to have options. I don't know what they might get into later. They're both really into science. Paxton loves bugs. They both love animals. They might want to be a veterinarian. He may want to be a what's the bug scientist called? The insectologist. I forgot what they're called. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they may want to do a lot of things. My son, well, of course, he likes video games. He may want to go into gaming. Okay, so my thought process was, I want my kids to know what everyone else knows the way everyone else knows it, right? So that led to enrolling them in the Connections Academy because now you're getting the same education as everyone else. And I know you might be like, what? You don't want them to know what everyone else knows. No, I need them to know that. I don't need them to embrace it as the truth, but I need you to know that this is how these people out here operate. And so in order to get along in this system, this is how you need to operate as well. That was another thing that kind of bothered me. I was worried about their attention span because, again, I can be honest with myself, even as a 43-year-old woman, my attention span be shot sometimes. Like some days I'm cool, and then other days it seemed like my ADD take over and I can't sit down for 15 minutes. Okay. That's not a reason for me to discredit my children's education. So I'm going to do what I have to do. And that requires, putting your pride down and figuring out what's best for my children. Sure, I would love to be able to sit here and say, yes, I created the curriculum from my brain, and I teach my children all these wonderful things. No, I'm not going to sit here and lie. And again, because of the social economic system that we're in, you have to know how to go along to get along. Okay. So now for other states, now let me say this. Other states have different requirements. There's a website called the Homeschool Legal Defense Fund. I think that's what it's called. Homeschool Legal Defense. I know it's HSLD. I don't know if it's a fund at the end. You can go on that website and check it out, or you can just Google, homeschooling for your state. Now, I know some states are way stricter than others. Some states do require you to send them progress reports. Some states do require you to still report for testing. So, you need to find that out in your state. You need to make sure you're keeping up with that. Because what you don't want is a truancy charge. You don't want CPS coming to your house. You don't want that. Okay. So find out what is required in your state to homeschool. Now for us, like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you know when we go live here at the House of Mono. And if y'all have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. Excuse me. So for us, a typical homeschooling day, I'm getting up about 8:00. Just it's a good time for me to get up, I think. So I get up about 8:00. New York State. I was reading the rules in New York. It's strict. That is one of the stricter states when it comes to homeschooling. It's crazy. I get up about 8:00. Most mornings I'm cooking breakfast because they asked me to cook breakfast. I cook breakfast. So most mornings I cook breakfast and then we get started on our lessons. So there are computer-based learning programs that they use where it's just them interacting with the program. And then they have live lessons, and then they have homework, which is just lessons for them to do independently. Okay. So we'll get up and start with a computer. I'll put one on a computer program and I'll put the other one. I'll be going over lessons with the other one. Okay. And we go through our day. We're usually done about 3:30, 4:00. Now that does include breaks. Okay. Because, one of the blessings of homeschooling is that we're on our own schedule. So nobody's rushing me to have this kid out of here, in 30, 45 minutes or whatever. And I'm working with a 6 and a 9-year-old and they're boys. Okay. So sitting still for a long time is not exactly their strong suit. So while I do try to have at least, 30 to 45 minute increments for lessons, I also do give them breaks. Because once they get frustrated and once their attention span is shot, or once they're just frustrated, they're not learning anything anyway. And it's just making it harder for me to teach them. Right now, I will say this: when it comes to homeschooling, you have to pack your patience. You listen, y'all. Sometimes I just put my head down for a minute and take a time out. When I was growing up, I hated math. One of the reasons I hated math was because it was hard for me to do, and no one around me was able to show it to me. And my mom, she clearly wasn't good at math. And she was already frustrated from working all day. So then she would have to come home and try to help me. And it just was not, math was never a pleasant experience. I didn't even begin to enjoy math until college. Until I had a college professor who just broke it down and made it very simple. But I hated math. And I hated it because I was always getting yelled at about it, right? And so I try to avoid that with my kids. I really do. Sometimes it's not them that needs to break. Sometimes it's me, and I don't have a problem admitting that. But what I will not do, what I pray about every day, and what is at the forefront of my mind all the time is I never want to turn them off from learning. I don't want them to have any negative. I want learning to feel good for them. I want their education to be a pleasant experience. They get to learn at home with their mom every day. I want that to be a pleasant experience for my children. I don't want them to be talking about, well, she was yelling at me all the time and she made it really hard and she was always frustrated. No, 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 no. Okay, so if I need a break too, I'll take a break too. But again, here it comes with being honest with yourself. How much can you take? Don't keep trying to pile it on. Like, I saw one mom's proposed homeschooling schedule, and she was like giving her kid 30 minutes for every subject. So she thought the kid was going to work from 8:30 to 9 to 9:30, and she could get her work done in that time. And I'm here to tell you that is a setup for frustration and disappointment. Because listen, one day they might get that lesson like that, and all you need is 15 minutes. It could be another day where they may need an hour. You might have to close this lesson and come back to it the next day. So I'm not saying not to have a schedule, but what I'm saying is that schedule shouldn't be too strict. Not when you're dealing with younger elementary school kids. Now, of course, when you're dealing with older kids, yes, they have more expectations. They should be able to work more independently. But my 6 and 9-year-old, they're not working totally independently. So I'm not going to put that on them. Like, all right, you only got 30 minutes for this subject. Come on, let's go. That's it. That's not fair. That's not fair to them, and that's not fair to you. Now, there's great support out there for those of you who do want to homeschool. I definitely recommend Hooked on Phonics for your younger kids or whatever age they are. They're learning how to read. Hooked on Phonics is amazing. They also have Hooked on Math, which is a great way to give them a head start in math. There are channels on YouTube that go over alphabets, phonics, sounds, vowels. My husband, from the moment Paxton came home from the hospital, he would have those videos playing when he was asleep. And he caught on very quickly alphabets, vowel sounds, like he knew those at a very young age because he heard them all the time. So for those of you who have younger kids who may not be at that 5 or 6 ready to start school age yet, like, make sure that that's what they're hearing. The more they hear it, the easier it will be. Now, this does not take place of actually sitting down and teaching them how to read. Okay. And I did not realize it at the time, but reading with your kid, like they tell you, okay, reading helps improve, da, 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 da. I didn't understand it until I saw it myself. Just taking an extra 15, 20 minutes a day to have your child read to you. I mean, just doing that for a week, and I saw great improvement with both of my boys. So when you're reading now, they don't just want to know if they can read, they want to know how fast they can read. So there is a real concentration on reading fluency. So they don't want them to just read, they want them to read fast or at a reasonable pace, okay? And so read with your child, like read with them every day. Yes, it gets frustrating. Some days you're going to be tired, but read with them. Read to them until they can read to you. You can also go to your local library. Like I know at our library here in Douglas County, they have reading time for preschoolers and some elementary school ages where you can bring them and the librarian will read to them and then they can do an activity related to what they just read. And that's a great way to get them introduced to reading and learning and stuff like that. Now, another thing I see a lot of people worried about is socialization. And I get it, right? I get it. And some people will tell you, oh, they'll learn to socialize on their own. And some people put a lot of effort into it. I really think it just depends on your family and how you live. Like if your family is always out on the go, then your kids are going to socialize anyway. If you have a larger family, there'll be opportunities for socialization there. I've tried to like join different co-ops and stuff. We joined one co-op and I really liked it, but then they turned it into an all-girls co-op, which I was like, well, how would y'all do that? Why would you do that to me? So they turned it into like an all-girls co-op. And I'm gonna be honest with you, yes, I'm gonna say it again, as a Black mother, I want my children around positive Black influences. I do. And so any socialization that we do or any kind of group thing that we join, I want to make sure that there's a heavy influence of Black leadership, Black parenting, so they can see us. I want my kids to be able to see the value in their own people. And, we talk about this a lot, but I didn't see a lot of Black teachers growing up. And I feel like it affected my outlook on things, if y'all get my drift. You know what I'm saying? It might not be as important to some of y'all, but it's important to me. I want my children's life, especially my Black sons' lives, to be filled with positive Black role models. So these are the things that I kind of look for if I'm talking about joining a group or anything like that, mingling my children, okay? Like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you know when we go live here at the House of Mono. Please excuse y'all, it's getting cold around here. And I told y'all I don't like it at all. Do not like the cold. So yeah, socialization, it's not a hard thing. Again, yes, it will cost money because you don't have access to the subsidized activities at your child's school. But put them in a sports club, put them in an art club, there's something around you, around your community. This is the time when you need to really look into your community resources and use them. Look at your library. Well, I know our library has a lot of resources for homeschoolers. There's a lot of chances for socialization. Like they have a gamers club for teenagers where the teenagers can come and hang out and play games. They have tournament. Like there are opportunities. There are things that you can do. It is just going to take some initiative because you have to find these things on your own. There's nobody just sitting at home with permission slip like, hey, we're going to go do this. Like you have to do those things on your own. But really, that's okay. Like it's okay. You get more of a say of what's going on. And then again, you get to be an active part in your kids' education. I have heard this too. Hold on. Wait a second. Let me get here. Some curriculum companies offer free curriculum. If you know of any, please feel free to put them in the chat because I'm sure that would be super helpful to a lot of people because those curriculums do get pricey and sometimes you might have to buy multiple. Sometimes, you may have to upgrade. Like it just all depends on what's going on. And what if you don't like the whole thing? It's a lot and it's a heavy decision. Brianna, shalom and shalom, sis. Thank you for joining me. It's a heavy decision, definitely. So make sure you know what I'm saying, research it, look through all your resources. Again, make sure you check the laws in your state. I'm in Georgia. Georgia is very liberal when it comes to homeschooling. Other states I have seen are not. Like if you wanted to pull your kid out today in the state of Georgia, you would just go and withdraw them and come home and fill out the intent to homeschool and send that to the Department of Education. And that counts as proof of attendance for your child. So like when your kid's ready to get their license, like here in Georgia, you have to prove that you're in school to get your permit, because I think you can get it at like 16. So, but that declaration to that intent to homeschool serves as your proof of school attendance. So you can keep that. There are some places that if you take that, they will honor you as an educator. And so whatever educator discounts they have, any teacher discounts or whatever, they will give that to you if you have that intent to homeschool. So, I mean, and I love, like, how can you not love that? I love that. All right, like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you know when we go live here at the House of Mono. Okay, putting them back in the district. Thank you for bringing that up. Takara, shalom and shalom. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so I went through that. When we went to, so we tried Georgia Cyber. I didn't like it. We independently homeschool. I was experimenting, trying to figure things out. And then when I decided, okay, it's time to go back to Georgia Connections Academy, all we had to do was go through testing. Now, we did have some testing that we had to go through, and they decided at that point what grade to put them in. So I will say this. When you go, if you decide to homeschool and then you take them back to the public school system, they're going to put them in whatever grade that they test at. And now you may not agree with that, but you know what I'm saying? Now, after that point, they can improve academically, and then you can talk to the school about where to place them. But in order to get them back in, that's how you get them back in. Don't ever let anybody tell you that they can't go back to school. They can go back to school. They just have to go through the testing and then get placed. So this is why it's very important for you to be as diligent as you can when it comes to homeschooling. This is why I had to realize I need help. I need structure. I need guidance. Okay. So that's what led my choice to go back to Georgia Connections. And you know what? Again, I hate to even think like this, but you know, Yahweh forbid something happened to me or my husband or anything changes in our life. And for whatever reason, they have to go into like regular standard public school, then I want them to be prepared for that. And so we need to be thinking like that as well, so that we're not doing our children a disservice, that we're actually servicing them. Discounts for homeschool day. You're also going to need it for high school graduating and getting into some colleges. Exactly. So, yeah, make sure once you print off that intent form that you keep it, or just download it on your computer or whatever for whenever you need it. What else was I going to say? Oh, and if any of y'all know Takara Jones, she's my friend on Facebook. She actually has a daughter that was homeschooled, and her child is now in college. She got 2 more coming up after her, right? So, yes, this sister is a success story. Her baby, I'm not going to say what school her baby's in. That's her business. But her baby's in a good school, okay? A very good school. Very, very impressive. So, definitely want to give her a round of applause. If y'all know her, you know, follow her. She gives out good homeschool information as well. I'm trying to make sure I cover everything that I wanted to cover. Oh, IEPs. I see a lot of parents that are concerned with pulling their kid out and homeschooling them with an IEP. Now, as far as Georgia Connections and Georgia Cyber Academy, they do work with and accommodate your IEP. There are additional resource teachers available, and they will give you additional classes in order to work with you on that. So don't be afraid to let them know, like, yes, my child has an IEP and these are their accommodations. As far as your other states have Connection Academies as well. And with Connections Academy, because you're in a because you're using the public school system, you're not technically considered a homeschooler by the state. By the state, your child is considered enrolled in school. So, that takes out a lot of the extra mumbo jumbo or whatever you would have to go through. And look at, go to I think it's K-12. K-12 education, Google K-12 in your state. And the education options will come up. You'll see private schools, charter schools, public schools, Christian schools, Scientology schools. All kind of schools will be listed there for you. And there should be some free education choices. So these are going to usually be your public school based curriculums. Yeah, what else? Overall, I would recommend homeschooling. I love homeschooling. I feel like I get to be there. Well, no, I do. I'm here every day with my children. Hold on. Let me look at this comment. If your traditional homeschooling means not connecting to state, please find yourself a homeschooling consultant that will integrate your IEP. Okay, so yes, if you need help, because I mean, my kids never went to school, so I didn't deal with that. But if you do need help with that, there are people who will help. There's a Homeschool Legal Defense Fund. I know here in Georgia, we have a few different homeschooling co-op groups, and the leaders of these groups are really, really informative, and they don't mind giving you this information. There's the West Georgia Homeschoolers Co-op. I know there's a North Georgia Homeschoolers Co-op. Epic Homeschooling. Now, I looked into Epic. I don't remember why we didn't sign up with Epic. I did look into Epic though. But so there are resources out there for you, especially if your child has an IEP or if your child has special needs. And you can find free resources. So please, please, please. Yes, it takes work. Look, everything is either going to cost time or money. That's just what it is. Nothing is absolutely free. You're either going to have to put the time in to find it and or the money to pay for it. So just be prepared. I forgot what I was saying. Overall, I think I was wrapping up the homeschool segment. So overall, yeah, I appreciate homeschooling because I get to be home with my kids every day. When I had my daughters, I was not in a position to be the kind of parent that I wanted to be. And so, yeah, I had to drop them off at daycare. I missed their first steps. I missed their first words. I missed all these milestones that you just take for granted, right? You just figure like when you have kids, okay, I'm going to be there for that. But a lot of this stuff happens when you're at work and they're at daycare with someone else. So the overarching thing that I appreciate about homeschooling is having been there every day since day one. I've been there every day since day one. I think, let's see, I know we went to Vegas for a few days and then, me and my husband might do little overnight dates and stuff, but that's the most amount of time that I've ever been away from my boys. I don't know if I could function like you know what I mean? Like if I had to put them on a bus and send them to school, I don't know what that would do to me. And I don't know what it would do to them, to be honest. Like we talk about it all the time. How, they get up, they eat when they want to, they go to the bathroom when they want to, they take their breaks when they need to. No one's forcing them to sit in a building for 8 hours a day with a bunch of stuff to just fill the time. You know what I'm saying? So they live a very different life. And I'm thankful for that. I don't know that they get it. because like we talk to them and their sisters will talk to them and they don't get the blessing that they get to live. So, hopefully they will one day. But what I if you have someone that that has homeschool, please reach out to them because I feel like hearing people's real life experiences is so very helpful. When I was still considering homeschooling, my girls were taking piano lessons, and the lady that was giving them their piano lessons had homeschooled her children, and they were all adults. They had all graduated from college. And so she had told me like the subjects I can teach, I teach. But when I couldn't teach it, she had a partnership with a Christian school through her church. So they would allow the homeschool kids to come to the Christian school just for the subjects they needed. So if if you need help with math or science or whatever, or even once they get older and these subjects get more complicated, then she would send them to the school to get taught. So there are different ways to homeschool. You just have to find out what works for you and your family. And please don't let anybody tell you, well, if you do it this way, it's not homeschool. If you do it that way, it's not that. There's no competition to be won here about how homeschooling is done. My only concern, and I'm sure your only concern, is preparing your child for a future that they can be successful in. I never want my child to be struggling, to be poor, to be broke, to not be able to get out and make a living and be able to look at me and say, Mama, this is your fault. Or even for me to have to look at myself and know that I failed my child. And so this is what I'm saying about, are you being real with yourself? Like, can you really do this by yourself? Do you have the discipline to get up, stick to the curriculum, follow through with the homework, follow through with the testing? Being honest, it is very easy. It's very easy to kind of just do the work for your kid. Like, there's a difference between helping them and doing it for them. Okay. So you have to be very careful when you're homeschooling that you're not doing it for them. Because even like, okay, in the state of Georgia, they don't have to report testing throughout the school year. But once they're ready to graduate, they have to take a test. And if they can't pass that test, then they can't graduate high school. Okay. Or even if you're saying, fine, I want my kid to get a GED, they still got to be able to pass it. They still have to know the information. They still have to be able to take the test while they're sitting there by themselves. Right. And I know you're probably thinking like, well, at 5 and 6, that's so far off. Yes and no. Because if you think about how long we went to school, we were in school for what, 12 years of our lives, learning the same thing every day, 8 hours a day. They were drilling us with this information. Okay. And so, no, you're not going to do that at home. Like, there's no way that I'm sitting here 8 hours straight a day. You know what I'm saying? With my kid. So it may require you to let go of the reins a little, let them see what they can do. Let them try. And if they get it wrong, that's okay. Like, my tone, I try to be as encouraging as possible all the time because, hey, we're learning here. You're learning, your classmates, everybody's learning, and it's okay to make mistakes. They're not going to get it right. Think about how long you were in school. Okay, I know waking up 6 o'clock in the morning, sitting in school from like 7:30 to what, 3:30. And then if you were in the after school program, okay, and so that's a big difference from the amount of time that they're working at home. But we still want to make sure that they're able to go out here and compete with those children who did that. And it is entirely possible. I've heard testimonies. I just told you about Sakara and her daughter. I've seen other people have this success, and you can as well. But you just And I'm speaking from this point I'm in now with a second and third grader. And I've already had to make adjustments. But let's adjust to do what's best for the kids. That's you know what I'm saying? That's the main point here. It is truly a blessing, and transparency you give lets us know there will come challenges, but it has many advantages and it's well worth it in the end. All praises. It is definitely worth it. It's so rewarding. It's so very rewarding. My Paxton came to me the other day and he was like, I like doing lessons with you, Mom. It's fun. And it just made me feel so good. Like, really? Like, you like working with me for real? Because like I told you, I try so hard. I don't want to yell at them. I don't want to express anger. I don't want to express frustration. It doesn't matter if I told them the same thing 20 times. Like, when you start teaching kids, you'll just realize that sometimes you have to keep saying it different ways in order for it to click in their brain. And I know this is gonna sound crazy to y'all. Y'all gonna be like, well, you should have known that already. When I had my sons, me and my husband used to get into it a lot. Because I come from a place of you should know it already. You should know it already. You should know it already. This is kind of how I was raised. Like, you should just know that already. Like, really, I should. And then with my daughters, not having that at home everyday experience, it's different from being home with them every day because nobody else is teaching them anything but you. They're not learning anything from anywhere else but you. So some stuff that they learn throughout their day, like with going to daycare and stuff, they don't learn that. Like, let me tell y'all something. Again, another transparency moment. I just taught my sons how to tie their shoes. Like, I think we did it last year because we weren't getting up every day and them having to put shoes on. So it never came up. Like, it was never a thing. Like, if we were going somewhere, I would just tie their shoe and be like, okay, we're going to learn how to tie your shoe. But we're not going anywhere for days at a time sometimes. And it never became a thing. And so, we was doing something. And I think one of the kids asked my husband to help him. And he was like, you don't know how to tie your shoe? And I was like, no, we don't go anywhere for them to learn how to tie their shoes. So we had to, let's teach them how to tie their shoe. So it's just certain stuff like that you in your mind remember just like learning this through life. But again, you're raising your kids in a totally different picture than you were raised in. And that's another thing that gets to me sometimes. It's like, it can, I don't like to use the S word, scary. So I'll say that it can shake your faith. It can test your faith because, again, you have not seen this picture before, right? It's easy for us to get up, send our kids to school because we know what that's supposed to look like. We know they're supposed to go to school, they're supposed to do good, they're supposed to bring home good grades, and they're supposed to graduate. And we know what this looks like. This is routine. Everyone does this. But when it comes to homeschooling, a lot of us are first generation homeschoolers and we have not seen this picture before. And so therefore, guess what? It's going to come with a lot of adjusting and a lot of editing, a lot of figuring it out on the fly. And all praises that I have a supportive husband whose mother has a background in education, because that was very helpful as well. When it came to trying different ways of teaching and just what they needed to be taught. So, don't be so hard on yourself. I know we like to go into situations with all kinds of expectations. And let me tell you something. When it's you working with you, you can have your list of expectations. Okay. Like if I'm going to say I was to enroll in college and I, wanted to get another degree or finish my degree or whatever. I know what I can do. And it's just me by myself. I don't have to worry about anyone else's attention span, capacity, or anything like that. I go, I do my work. I'm self-governed, okay, when it's just me. But when you are dealing with a child, especially your child, a child that you love, when you're dealing with a child, now you have a whole another set of variables. And they're just like us. They have some days when they are clicking on all cylinders and everything's going great. And then they have other days where it's like, have you been here all semester? Are you listening to anything I'm saying? It gets like that. I can go through something on the board like 10 times and I'm feeling like, okay, they got it. We got it now. And then we sit down to do the work and it's like their mind went blank. And I'm like, wait a minute. We just learned this. Okay, so now I need to go back and figure out another way to teach it to them. Okay, so there are other resources for that. I will use YouTube in a second. Like if I can't find the words, I will go to YouTube. I will go to Khan Academy. Like I will ask for the help. There are resources out there. There are a lot of homeschooling resources out there. Believe it or not, like this, it's like a growing movement. It really is. And so speaking to that fact, the fact is there are a lot of us parents, us Black parents who this is our first time homeschooling, right? And so I want us to always keep in mind that we don't ever want to shortchange our children in a system that was never meant for them to succeed in anyway. Right? They have their own challenges. They're going to have things that they face. You don't want to send your kid out here shortchanged. You don't want to send your kid out here not knowing how to read, write, and talk, not knowing how to type and use computers. It's just so much these days. So much. And then you want to make sure that you're instilling those right values. You want to make sure that you're instilling the truth. And so think about this, y'all, because I really believe that there are a lot more parents that desire to homeschool. Sit down and go through your budget. See what you don't need. See what you can do without. You don't need 2 new cars. You don't need 2 cars. You don't need 2 cars. I know that's the American dream, right? The big house, 2 cars in the garage. For what though? For what though? Look at how much money you spend going to work and how much money you bring in from work. And then think about it. How can you cut your budget? What can you do to help your family out? What can you start doing at home? Y'all want to know something? My husband colored my hair in the bathroom last night. Why? Because I'm not going to a salon to pay somebody freaking $150, $200 to put some color in my hair and style it. And I'm going to just have to wash it out next week anyway, because that's just what my hair does. No, my husband can do it. That's money that we can save. If you want to, you can. Do you think your child is worth it? I try to stay away from political discussions because my main concern is winning souls. My main concern is winning souls. My main concern is winning souls. So some things I try not to talk about, but there is a reality that we do have to face. Okay. We understand that there's a new administration coming in and they have very much been targeting the Department of Education. And, I'm not saying I agree or disagree with the approach, but even if that wasn't happening, based off the standard of education, based off the content of the education, the banning of the books, the introducing anti-biblical ideology, the destruction of the natural God-given order of family, I don't want to send my kids there. It's 2024 and you still got my kids celebrating Thanksgiving? It's 2024 and you're still telling my kid that, some Europeans came over here and everything went fine and they had a big feast together and that's it? No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And the reason I'm not doing that is because I know the heartbreak that I felt when I started learning the truth. I grew up in church. I've been in church as long as I can remember. From the womb, I've been in church. I've been in church and I've been in an American public education system. And so imagine me getting to a liberal college. I went to Montclair State. Imagine me getting to a liberal college, taking a religion class, thinking like, oh yes, I'm finally going to, reach another pinnacle of my religious studies, just to be taught by a man who claimed to be Jewish, but did not believe in the Bible that he was teaching us. So what are you teaching me? What are you telling me? I took an epidemiology class, right? And my first sign should have been that the teacher wasn't an epidemiologist. Okay, that should have been my first sign, but no. We start talking about the Tuskegee experiment. So epidemiology is the study of diseases and how they spread. So we started talking about the Tuskegee experiment. And now all my kiddydom, because I've been into Black history. Like my mom used to bring me books all the time. So I've always been a studier of Black history and just history in general. So I knew that the Tuskegee experiment was an experiment when they injected Black farmers with syphilis, a whole community of them. And instead of letting them know what was going on, they let these people get sick and die. Okay. However, you have this teacher now trying to tell me, oh no, that's not true. These people just happened upon a town full of Black people with syphilis. And this is what they're teaching these new kids now. And so when I saw that, I'm like, wait, why are you? So it's just little moments like this throughout my life. And then to begin to learn the truth of what I thought was my belief system, the truth of the political system. Like, I don't want my kids to have to dismantle their whole thought process and rebuild it all over again. Because let me tell you something, that affected my prayer life. It affected my prayer life. And I love to pray. I've always loved to pray. There's just been a thing with me. And so, but when you find out that everything that you thought you knew was a lie, so I'm the kind of person that when I find a lie, now we got to back up and start all over again. No, pimp. Nope. Now we got to start back from A, because you had me all the way at W, and then I found out that U was a lie. So no, now I want to go back all the way to A, and we got to start all over again. Right? And that cost me time with the Lord. It cost me a lot of thought and a lot of confusion. And I don't want my children to go through that. So I'm going to tell them the truth up front, because the Most High has blessed me with the time and the ability to do so. And so I feel like that should be the impetus for homeschooling. I don't see any other reason not to any other reason to homeschool. If I knew that my kid was going to school and learning the truth and was being kept safe, like I didn't have to worry about them not making it home. I didn't have to worry about having to go and identify their body instead of picking them up off the bus, then I would love to send my kid to school. I would love to, because it was fun. You get to meet other kids. You get to play. There's recess. Well, there used to be recess. There's usually animals. I remember my one math teacher at elementary school, like we did really good on the test. So she made us waffle ice cream sundaes. I mean, I have great, you know what I'm saying? You have great fun at school. I would love to be able to let my kids do that. But I know better. So how can I? If I know my oppressor and I have a chance to come up from under them even a little bit, even in my thought process, why wouldn't I take advantage of that? And then why wouldn't I want to spread that to my children? Why wouldn't I want to give them that same advantage? Like I said, you have to comply with this system in order to be successful. Even as business owners, sometimes we have to work on our Sabbath. This is the system we live in. I can't tell the mortgage company, well, I couldn't take this job on that day because it was my Sabbath, so my mortgage gonna be like, no, they're not gonna want to hear that. Then I'm gonna be homeless out in the street. Okay, so we all have to comply with this system in some ways in order to make it in there. So, yes, while I'm teaching my child the truth, I'm also going to teach them how to go along to get along. You understand what I'm saying? It's more work than I thought it would be. You think it would be easier with it being your kids, but way more than what I thought. I salute you for. I truly would like to do that with my son. All praises to the Most High. It is a lot of work. And I don't know how teachers do it with 30 and 20 kids. I don't. Because just having them 2 kids be trying me. So I don't get it. I really give my hats off to the good teachers, the ones who still, have the passion for what they do. Because it is hard. It is hard. I've been coloring, doing my own hair too. So much money. Not to mention the time and the hassle of, finding somebody, and then you gotta, experiment till you find the right person and everything else. No, I'd rather just do it myself. 712 Junkie, Shalom and Shalom. Thank you for joining us. So yeah, I want to encourage you. I didn't think we was gonna talk this long about it, but I want to encourage you to homeschool. I want to encourage you to be as actively involved in your children's education as you possibly can. For some of you, that might look like you have to send your kid to school, and maybe you're just at every PTA meeting and you are there at every turn. If that's the most you can do, then great. But I encourage you as much as possible to have an active hand in your child's education. Like I said, that is why I like Georgia Connections Academy, because they're still getting the material that they need to know to pass the test, but I get to put the truth in there with them, with that. And to me, that is the most important thing. Okay? And I want to leave y'all with another thought that came to me in prayer. Because, I told y'all, when I pray, I just talk to the Most High. Like we talk, like I'm talking to y'all. I get in my quiet room and I close my eyes and I bow my head and we talk, okay? And so I wanted to just ask you, are you trying? Are you trying? Because I was talking to the Most High and I'm like, this is going on, that's going on, da 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 da. What do I do? Please, Lord, lead God, direct me. He was like, but you're trying. And so it's like, I am trying. Like, I am trying. And so I want to ask you, like, are you trying? Are you really putting forth the honest effort? Are you giving it your all? And I'm going to go ahead and say this, and I know y'all might not like me for saying this, but if you are not praying and conferring with the Most High, buddy, you are not trying. You're not trying. You are like at a 30%. You're at a 30% because what are you getting done without the Most High? And how are you getting it done efficiently and to the best benefit for you and those around you? How are you spotting all the opportunities that could possibly come your way without the Most High? How is your discernment working? Where is your patience, your love, your joy, your long suffering? Where is that coming from if your relationship with the Most High is not a living, viable, beating relationship? What I mean by beating is, I don't mean you just waking up, stretching, getting out the bed like, whoop, thank you for, thank you for making me live today, and I'm out. Any relationship requires communication. You can't tell me you like me, but you never want to talk to me. You can't tell me you love me, but you never want to talk to me. Would you believe some dude loved you if he only ever told you good morning and good night? You would be a dummy to think that that person likes you, cares about you, or is interested in you in any form. And so why do you feel like you can treat the Most High the same way? You only go to him when you want something. You only go to him when you need something, or when something really good happened, just to say a quick thank you. You're never there asking, what can I do for you today? How can you use me, Yahweh? What part of me do I need to surrender in order to please you? Is that ever your question? Do you really ever go and sit on his feet with a, what do you need? How can I be of service? How can I help you? Because he said for us to cast our cares unto him, right? And his yoke is easy. His burden is light. Am I saying that you're going to float through life like some kind of otherworldly fairy? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But when the pressure and the obstacles come, you have an ever-present help to guide you through and to keep you on the narrow path. That's where a lot of y'all be feeling. You come off that narrow path when the problems come. Well, I can't figure this out, so let me go do my old one too. I'm getting lonely, so let me go do my one too. Times is getting hard, let me go do my one too. Instead of just patiently waiting. Patiently waiting. Continuing to try to live. And I'm striving for perfection. I don't know about you. I'm striving for perfection, and I know I'm not there yet. That's why I keep saying try. Shalom House of Monologue. I'm hearing you, sis. I'm a 23-year-old male, and this has been on my spirit heavy. All praises. I don't have many kids, but I find myself thinking about this a lot, sucking this up, sis. All praises to the Most High. And that is so awesome that you're thinking about that now. Like, that is when you should be thinking about it, before you have kids. So when you start courting your future wife, this is something you can present to her up front. Like, listen, this is what I want. And so I'm glad you know this up front. So when you listen, ma'am, this is what I need from you if you want to be my wife. I'm not saying to say it like that, but when you're talking, when you're in the conversation, now you can let her know, I want a wife that's going to stay at home and educate my children. You can say that up front. This way there's no confusion. If that's not what she want to do, y'all ain't got to waste your time. But all praises, I'm glad that you know that before you have children. And so I just want to encourage y'all. Again, if you have any questions about homeschooling, please feel free to reach out. You can DM. If you have, my number, feel free to text or whatever. I'm happy to answer any questions or help any way I can. And when it comes to your relationship with the Most High, please, 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 I'm begging you, get in your word, get in your prayer time, like really just look to him. There's a lot going on and people are panicking left and right. Like every time you turn on the news, Donald Trump did this, Donald Trump did that. He farted to the right today. He farted to the left today. Is the world going in? Every single day, man. Listen, we know who's in control. We know who has the world in the palm of his hand. We know who sits high and looks low. We know who makes light and who makes darkness. We already know whose show this is. So don't go the way of the people of the world. Remember, our job is to live peaceably with all men for as long as possible, regardless of who they voted for or what they believed in. And that's just it. The most important thing is winning souls. The most important thing is winning souls. The absolute most important thing is winning souls. I don't want to have to answer for the blood on my hands of someone that I turned away over someone who is not even a king of my own people. The Bible tells me not to have anything to do with putting a king over me, especially someone who's not of my own people. And newsflash, neither one of them were. It's literally not my business. I kind of feel like, and I know y'all might be like, what, you're crazy for saying that, but this is not my business. This is not my place. This is their place. They kidnapped me and bought me here. I'm basically a hostage. What do I look like appointing a leader over my hostage situation? Like, and then fighting with people and arguing with people about it, especially people who look like me, my friends, my family, cutting people off, y'all, it's not worth it, okay? Listen, I love you guys. I hope something that I said was helpful, whether you're listening live or on the replay. Shout out to everybody in TikTok land. Like and share the live. Like, share, subscribe to the YouTube. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really enjoyed this conversation. Angelina, Shamika, Brianza, Takara, thank y'all so much. 712 Junkie, I appreciate y'all. I will see y'all back here. Oh, do not forget about B3. B3 is our free, I guess you call it shoot around day. It's at Hoops Nation. Check my profile, my husband's Facebook, Instagram for more information, or you can go to 3mgmusic.com. As of right now, everything is free. Entry is free. Vendor spots are free, but I think my husband said he's getting ready to close up the vendor spots because we have quite a few. So if you're interested, take a look at that. I will see you guys back here same time next week. I don't know why the boys didn't come down. I told them 9:20. I will see you guys back here, same black time, same black station next week. I love you so much. Remember, pray, fast, get in your word, get as close to the Most High as you possibly can. Okay. I love you so much. Shalom and shalom and good night. Mono.
Living super clean. That it came
One time for my king doing king things. Mom these hoes cause he know he got a good thing.
Tune in to Why Boaz Don't Want Your Ass with your host, Miss Mono.
Shalom and shalom, sisters and cousins, and praise the Lord saints. It's your favorite housewife, Miss Mono.
Every Thursday from 8 to 10 p.m. live on YouTube at Miss Mono's World and Monologue Magad. Now also available on the Saya TV on Roku and Fire Stick. Why Boaz Don't Want Your Ass. Don't miss it, sisters and cousins.
Let him save you in the